I did it, puffed Freddie. Those young engines couldn't catch me.
You're so fast, wheezed Rheneas. Race you again, chuffed Skarloey. Please?
Of course, tooted Freddie. Fearless Freddie never says no to a race.
In no time, the little engines were ready to race again. We'll race you down the other side this time, puffed Rheneas.
The other side of the mountain is very steep, wheezed Freddie.
You're not scared, are you? Peeped Skarloey.
Of course not. I'm Fearless Freddie, chuffed Freddie. Off we go!
Freddie raced ahead of the other engines. Soon he began to run out of puff again. But Freddie didn't want to lose. Then Freddie remembered another old track.
The craggy track, puffed Freddie. I know this railway like the back of my buffers.
And soon he arrived at the bottom, safe and sound. But Rheneas and Skarloey weren't safe and sound at all. The track was very steep. Rheneas and Skarloey were determined to bump Freddie's buffers, so they were racing very fast. Faster, wheezed Skarloey. Then there was trouble. Rheneas raced right off the track. Oh no, cried Skarloey. Freddie was waiting at the bottom of the mountain. He was very pleased with himself. Suddenly, Skarloey raced in. Rheneas has come off the track, Skarloey cried. And I don't know where he is. We were trying to catch you, Fearless Freddie, but you were too fast. Sir Handel arrived with the narrow-gauge controller. He had heard what had happened to Rheneas.
It's all my fault, sir, chuffed Freddie sadly. I used old tracks.
You tricked us, tooted Skarloey. And now Rheneas is lost and in trouble.
No, he isn't, whistled Freddie loudly. I can find him. I know all the old tracks. Please, sir, follow me.
Freddie led the rescue party along another forgotten track. The track wound down to the valley. And there was Rheneas. I'm so happy you found me, peeped Rheneas.
So am I, chuffed Freddie.
In no time at all, Rheneas was back on the track. And all the engines chuffed back to the transfer yards.
I'm sorry I tricked you, puffed Freddie. You're much faster engines than me.
But you know all the old tracks, peeped Rheneas. Please tell us about them. So, Freddie began to tell the young engines tales from the old tracks. Everyone was happy Fearless Freddie was back.
Freddie up the mountainside, or pay a trip to Sodor Bridge that spans our gorge with pride. It's all a new experience, like Jeremy the Jet. Watch him as he's flying by, one scene you won't forget. There's always somewhere new to go and something new to see. Things you never knew before, or somewhere new to be. track, or Rocky, he's a crane. Here's Rosie, you don't see so much, so don't forget her name. There's Dennis working in the yard, and Molly may be met. Our new friends on the island here, one scene you won't forget. There's always somewhere new to go, and something new to see. Things you never knew before, or somewhere new to be. Though you'll remember, dear old friends, some red, some green, some blue. For everything familiar, there's always something new. Though you'll remember, dear old friends, some red, some green, some blue. For everything familiar, there's always something new.
The island of Sodor is a wonderful place. Thomas enjoys puffing all over the island. There are lots of special places to visit. Where's this? That's right. It's the quarry. The quarry is a very important place. Engines come and go, pushing and pulling freight cars loaded with heavy slate and stone. The quarry is also where steamies and diesels can work together, which isn't always easy. One day, Percy brought freight cars to the quarry. He peeped his whistle to tell Harry and Bert he was there. They thought it was a silly sound. Percy was very upset. He thought his whistle was better than a nasty horn. Later, Percy returned to the quarry. This time, Percy blew his whistle with all his puff and power. Harry and Bert nearly jumped out of their engines. Another day, Thomas and Percy were trying to stay especially clean. The railway inspector was going to give a prize to the cleanest engine. Thomas and Percy wanted to win. Suddenly there was a rumble and a tumble. Thomas was covered from footplate to fender in quarry dust. But Thomas wasn't worried. Soon I'll be as clean as any engine, he tooted. And soon he was. There are two other engines who work at the quarry a lot, and they are Mavis and Diesel. One day, Thomas arrived to help them. Diesel thought this was a wonderful chance to tease Thomas. First, Diesel shunted Thomas under the hopper. Diesel laughed until his wheels wobbled. Then, when Thomas let off steam, Diesel called him a stinky steamy. Diesel was having lots of fun. Salty brought new fuel for all the diesels. Mavis and Diesel both started to cough and splutter. The new diesel oil had water in it. Diesel wasn't having fun anymore. Then Thomas came to the rescue. He arrived with new diesel oil. Soon, Mavis and Diesel's engines were humming again. "Thank you, Thomas," said Mavis. "You are a very good friend." And even Diesel had to agree. So that's why the quarry is very special for Mavis and Diesel. There are so many special places on the island of Sodor. Next time, Thomas will show us somewhere else. Toby's shed is old, so Sir Topham Hatt is building him a brand new one. But the shed still needs a roof and a door. The workmen have delivered 3 new roofs, but only one of them is right for Toby's new shed. Which do you think it is? The first roof is tall and pointed. Does that look right? No, that roof has a spire. It goes on a church, not on a shed. What about this one? This roof has round turrets made of bricks. Does that look right? No, that roof has turrets. Turrets go on a castle, not a shed. One roof is left. It's got sloping sides and is made of wood. Does that look right? Yes. That's the right roof for Toby's new shed. Now Toby's shed has a roof, but it still needs a door. The workmen have brought 3 new doors, but only one of them is right. Which one do you think it is? The first door is arch-shaped with a big handle. Does that look right? No, that's the door to a church, not a shed. What about this one? It has holes and goes up and down. Does that look right? No, that's a portcullis. The door to a castle, not a shed. There's one door left. It's square and made of wood. Does that look right? Yes, that's the right door for Toby's new shed. Now Toby's shed has a new roof and a new door. Toby is very happy. Good night, Toby. Toby's new shed. It was a wet and windy day on the island of Sodor. The engines were working hard. Henry pulled freight. Gordon pulled the express. And Thomas was taking freight cars to Arlesdale End. As he arrived, Thomas saw lots of birds chirping. Thomas thought their singing was lovely. Then he saw Toby coming out of his shed. "Good morning, Thomas," puffed Toby. Thomas was surprised. Toby was very wet. Toby rang his bell as he steamed away. Thomas looked at the roof of Toby's shed. It was full of holes. Rain must have been dripping on Toby when he was asleep, worried Thomas. Thomas decided to tell Sir Topham Hatt about Toby's roof. "That won't do," boomed Sir Topham Hatt. "Toby must be given a brand new roof right away." "Please, sir," tooted Thomas. "I can collect everything we need." "Thank you, Thomas," said Sir Topham Hatt. Then Toby puffed in with Henrietta to pick up some passengers. "You're going to have a brand new roof, Toby," tooted Thomas. "I'm off to collect everything we need." Toby looked worried, but all his passengers were now on board, and he had to leave. "I wonder why Toby didn't look very excited," thought Thomas. First, Thomas had to collect the workmen. At Toby's shed, the birds were still chirping. The workmen began to take down the old roof. Thomas met Percy at the junction. Percy was excited.
Look what I'm taking to Farmer McColl's farm, peeped Percy. It's a new house for his doves.
Well, I'm helping build a new roof for Toby's shed, tooted Thomas.